This podcast is part of the Pull Up a Chair podcast network. Let's build community through connection, conversation, and collaboration.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
And I'm V.
And you're listening to Cringe With Me, the podcast where we dig up the cringiest articles, questions, and tidbits of human culture to review with you, our listeners, so you too can cringe with me.
I'm hypocritical, but at least I know we could be beautiful or maybe terrible.
Okay, so we're going to start this off with me telling you what I would like to name this episode. It might be named something different.
All right.
See. Sometimes incest is okay.
All right, cool. Yeah, good. I'm just going to go out on a limb and assume that you might be correct. In that case, I believe it's called wincest. That's the 4chan adopted term that I learned decades ago that I'm not proud that I know. But 4chan's a dark place.
4chan is a dark place. We are also going to be talking about genetic attraction a little bit later on in the episode. And as we promised last episode, we're going to get into Myers-Briggs and you're going to give me some education.
Okay. Genetic attraction? I'm not familiar with this term.
I learned it this morning, actually. This post I found this morning, and I'm sure it's going to get taken down any second now.
All right. So, this episode will be educational, brought to you by Ryan and Valerie at Cringe With Me podcast.
All right, so this is a post from Reddit.
Okay.
From the subreddit r/offmychest. The username is Let's Sin with Anonymous.
Okay, I love that name.
They have no other post and no other history, which means that this is a throwaway account.
Most likely.
So,
or they're just a lurker.
I mean,
when it's their first post.
It could be.
Depends when the account was created.
So they titled their post, I just found out that I've been dating my biological brother for the last 6 years.
Oh no. Just found out. Okay, well, this is going to be a wild ride. I'm guessing this involves a foster system, but let's find out.
I wish I had a camera, just stationed at your face.
Yeah, we could do a lot of TikTok videos of my reaction to the terrible things that you bring up. It would. I've been told my face is very expressive by several people, so I'm sure that my expressions are ridiculous. I don't see them, so.
Yeah, I mean, half of your communication style is in your eyebrows, so.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So the rest of us only get, crumbs. Going back to the post. I am 30, and my brother is 32. For the purposes of this post, I will refer to him as my boyfriend for the majority of the time. I kind of feel weird about this. I was adopted as a baby, but I didn't know I was adopted until I was in high school. I didn't feel betrayed or uncared for. I truly love my parents, and my parents truly love me. Who cares if they aren't my biological parents?
Okay, love that.
My boyfriend was also adopted. And that was something that we bonded over.
Oh no.
He also learned later in life. And we were both lucky enough to end up in good families that truly loved us. We weren't passed from foster home to foster home, and we weren't abused in any way.
Man, I have so many questions already, but let's keep going. I'm going to save them to the end.
All right. Our relationship was, and still is, great. We understood each other very fast. We were attracted to each other quickly, and I've never met someone and felt this immense attraction and familiarity. Now, I know that my comfort and familiarity is because he is my brother. Not my half-brother, my full biological brother.
Okay, that was going to be one of my questions. All right, so they are full siblings.
We've done everything a couple that's been together for 6 years could possibly do.
Yep.
We've said, I love you. We've had sex in all the holes. We've celebrated anniversaries.
Okay, that part wasn't necessary, but thank you for that. Let's clarify every single one. My virgin ears. Well, that's because dicks weren't meant to go in ears, darling.
Oh my god.
She said every hole, okay?
Okay, I read it. But I didn't think about it. So. You kill me, Ryan. You kill me. Okay.
That's why I'm here.
We celebrated anniversaries and we've met each other's families. Our real families. Our adopted families.
Right, yeah.
I'm glad we both agreed early on we didn't want to have kids. So that has yet to happen. Now I don't want to deal with the health risks that arise from children with parents who are biological family. I discovered it when we did a DNA test to see our ancestry. We were both excited to learn more about our past. It took like a month for the results to come in, and I was so excited before we opened them. And I saw that we were siblings. I was shocked, to say the least. I only found out this information and haven't yet told my boyfriend. I'm really hoping that they made a mistake, but things are starting to make sense to me now. We've always got the "you guys look so alike," or "he's the male version of you."
That's what I was going to ask about, is do they look similar? Because if they're full siblings, they would have to look similar.
Long before the test came back. We've always laughed it off, but I've spent the morning looking at pictures of us together and realizing we really do look so much alike. It's freaking me out and I don't know what I should do. I still love my boyfriend/brother. And we've been together for 6 years. We have a house together, a whole comfortable life that we've built. And I'm hoping that the test is wrong, and we'll do more testing really soon. But in the moment, I am panicking. I see him as the love of my life, not my kid brother.
Wow. Well, there are ways to verify this through adoption records.
I mean, that depends on the type of adoption.
That's true. They could be sealed. I don't know. But, yeah, okay, verify that information. Oh my god. That's a lot. So, I think I'm going to be the weird person on this one. I think I'm going to be in the minority.
Okay.
I think as long as they're not going to have children, this is okay.
You're not in the minority.
Really?
I've spent the morning going through the comments section. By far, most people are like, it's fine, fuck him real good, just don't have kids.
Okay. So, because here's the thing to me. Like, the reason that incest is illegal is because of what it does to children. Like, because of the genetic anomalies that occur when you have incest, right? I think there's other issues there, too, because I think there's some very dangerous family practices when you have intermarriage of siblings. But in this case, they were not raised in the same families.
They didn't meet until later in life.
Yeah, so they don't have that family pressure to be anything. Their families likely have no idea. I'm guessing they have no idea, right?
Well, it sounds like...
Because they would have told them if they had an idea, I think. So there's no idea that this happened, right? No one knows except for her and hopefully him by this point, but we'll see.
There is a small update, which is why I think this is going to be taken down soon.
Okay. But if they're not going to have children and take those genetic anomaly risks, which I think if they're going to stay together, they need to actually take serious precautions. It's like, he should get a vasectomy or she should get her tubes tied or both. Because
ideally both.
You do not want to put that on a child. Like, that's like, that's scary.
If they were cousins or half siblings, it would drop significantly, but they are full-blooded siblings.
Which is why I'm like, the genetic risk is so high, like, you need to take every step to make sure this doesn't happen. If you decide you want to have kids, do what your parents did and adopt. Because like you know how to do the adopted thing. You've both been adopted. So like, you're good. But to me, I'm like, oh God, like that is the only thing that I'm like terrified of is that risk. But like the fact that you are genetically related, I think is completely meaningless in this regard because they're not siblings in the sense of they grew up together and like have that, right?
Yeah, see, and that's why I personally believe it's just as unethical to date like a step sibling that you were raised with as a biological sibling that you were raised with versus an adopted sibling that you were raised with. For me, it's all the growing up together that makes it.
I don't think it's inherently unethical, but I think that very frequently becomes unethical because of the weird dynamics people can have with family.
Yeah, like
So I don't want to pass a blanket statement on that one, but I understand where you're coming from.
I will throw the blankets.
Yeah, I know. You love your blankets.
I
too.
do love my blankets. Okay, so here is the very, very brief update. I posted this before the second test came in. Both ancestry sites show that biologically, genealogically, we are full-blooded siblings.
Mm-hmm.
I have since showed him the results, and he too now knows that we are siblings. He doesn't want to freak out or make any big decisions until we get a real test somewhere else on Maury or something similar. So it sounds like they did Ancestry or like one of those.
Ancestry or an Ancestry knockoff. Got
yeah, so they're probably, from what it sounds like, going to do a let's see you versus you, are you not the daddy kind of test, which apparently is different.
Okay.
I looked into it. Apparently it's very different, but the results are so close to being identical that they might as well be the same thing.
Right.
But knowing him, I can tell that he's freaking out and trying to hold a school. And it feels very odd to lay in bed next to him.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. As much as I don't think it's a problem if they stay together, I do understand not wanting to.
Yeah,
right?
no.
Like, I understand his position, too, where if he decides, no, this is too weird and I can't do this.
If either one of them do, then that's it.
I get that. I think that's a defensible position. I think it's unfortunate because it doesn't seem like she feels this way. But, man, oof.
And
big oof.
Like I said, most of the comments are people like, honestly, it's fine if you don't have kids. You weren't raised together. Don't make a Pornhub site, or do make a like stuff like that. But there was an interesting comment. I'm looking for it now. All right, so there was somebody in the comments named Ducky2322 who said that immediate traction upon meeting a biological family member as an adult has a name: genetic sexual attraction, aka GSA. And I was like, oh, I've never heard of that. I must learn of that. And they go into, on this thread, like arguing with people, like, is this or that. So I actually looked it up.
Okay.
Let me go to my research. This was my morning, people. This is what I do for a living, I guess. And on BetterHelp's website, I find an article talking about it in detail with their quote-unquote research about it. And I'm like, I love research. Give it to me. And the only research BetterHelp can point to is a Reddit article. So I go back to Reddit with this new article, and it was referring to a Cosmopolitan article. So then I go to the Cosmopolitan page, and I read it, and it's referring to yet a different Reddit article. So what it seems like is that a bunch of people, not an actual number amount, but there's a handful of people who, through either the foster system or adoption or knowingly, date a family member, occasionally finding out later.
Okay.
And they have gave it a name. It has never actually been studied.
Yeah, that it's not real. I'm just going to go on and say that's not real then. If it has not actually been studied, if there's no studies about this is just people giving a name to a phenomenon they think is common when it's probably not. Because you say, like, oh yeah, people, this has happened. Of course it has happened. But when you consider the vast multitudes of people...
Everything has happened.
Yeah, everything's happened and has probably happened a bunch of times. That doesn't make it common.
And it's just funny because they're all citing each other. And when I go to the thing, their supposed source is referring, and it all goes back to people on Reddit.
Yeah, okay.
Reddit, what are you
doing? Someone's
to
created
me?
An echo chamber. That's what's happened. That's unfortunate.
And
okay.
I've spiraled down. And so it is in fact pseudoscience. And if you come across an article on Psychology Today, BetterHelp, or US Minds, all of them cite each other. And the real source there is a person on Reddit. So, Unless you have a study, it is pseudoscience.
Yeah. And also, if there is a study out there that one of you has found, send it to us. Because I would love to read the actual study if there's one. But
I spent like an hour.
Starting to doubt.
Please save me
Yeah,
from this rabbit hole that I've been on.
I'm starting to doubt that this is a real thing.
Yeah. So that was like my morning. Well, it was a good hour of my morning figuring out why. And then, okay. It also linked to discussing a particular true crime case that I listened to a while ago about a dad who, like, let me give you the TLDR. Homeboy abused his baby mama. Baby mama sent their baby away to live with her parents so baby wouldn't be abused. Homeboy re-meets his now grown daughter and they have 4 kids together. He ends up killing her when she leaves him.
Wow.
Yes, and so a lot of people are pointing that as the first real study of it. And it's like, that is not a study. That is a true crime podcast with devastating outcomes.
Right. Also, I wouldn't take the behavior of murderer, possibly serial killer, to like demonstrate a psychological phenomenon that you would expect to be present in non-murder psychotic people. But hey, you know, that's me.
But like, looking back to the Reddit post that brought this up, it's like they probably just have a lot of stuff in common because they live in the same area. They were both adopted.
Well, and statistically, this is going to happen sometimes.
Yeah, like
if siblings are separated through the adoption system, sometimes they will meet, and it's theoretically possible they could be attracted to each other.
Yeah, like that's not...
Because there's the other thing about genetics. Attractiveness is genetic, it turns out. So if you're an attractive person, it's likely your siblings are also attractive people. And so if you meet an attractive person, they're like, wow, you're attractive. Wow, you're attractive. Well, okay, yeah, you got a recipe for some danger right there.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
So that doesn't mean anything. But... you know, I'll reserve judgment on it.
Just know,
but it sounds like
it occasionally happens, and there's a Reddit name that got put out and is being pushed on pseudoscience sites.
Okay, well that's exciting.
So, with all that digested, and apparently most people think it's fine if you have incest as long as you don't know you were having incest during the time of incest.
Well, no, because they're saying it's okay to continue. Yeah.
Everybody, or not everybody, I'm sure if I dug even further down the Reddit thread, because I got a little distracted with that pseudoscience spiral, most people think that a scenario like this is okay.
Yeah.
But, hearkening back to last week, do you think it would have been better if they never found out?
Oh, I see the question.
Yes.
Maybe. The reason I say maybe is because if them not finding out could have possibly led to them changing their mind and having biological children, then I think that's bad. If they were not going to have children no matter what, then I think maybe it would have been better for them if they didn't know.
Yeah.
Probably would have been better for everybody if they didn't know. But that being said, I don't think that there's a right or wrong answer in this one. I think that knowing this information is okay. And my stomach is growling so much. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I don't think that there's a right or wrong answer here. I think that I wish they didn't know because they're not planning to have kids.
Yeah.
Right? But if that had led to them having kids at some point, I would have been like, man, it would have been really good if they knew this so they could have taken further steps to avoid this.
I would also like to point out that a lot of the genetic disabilities that come up from human and animal interbreeding can be screened early on in pregnancy, and those genetic disabilities could come up with people who are not related that just so happen to have genetic similarities, which is why typically when you get a marriage license done, not in every state, but a lot of states, they will have you do genetic testing first so you are aware of anything that could possibly arise by creating biological children. And of course, this is specifically for heterosexual couples.
Right, yeah. If you can't biologically reproduce, it's not an issue.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? I've never heard of states doing that.
Yeah, it's I know it was true in Hawaii from the late 1990s to the mid 1910s. I know Ohio still has it in the books, but if it's practiced or not, I do not know. And New Jersey had it on the books for a while as well.
Wow. Okay.
Let me tell you, this morning it was a roller coaster.
Yeah, I imagine that the depths of research that went into this is pretty interesting. Yeah, no, I've never heard of that. I don't think that's, I know it's not done now in California.
Not in
because,
California.
I've like facilitated several marriages at this point, and no one's ever had genetic testing because of it. So I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, I don't have an ethical problem with anything that's happening except for having biological children here. Like, that's the thing I think is the problem.
All right. What if they do an incredible amount of screening, and they do some sort of in vitro to make sure that there is no biological abnormalities?
I don't know that you can screen for everything that can come up. Like, I know that genetic screening is a thing. I don't know that genetic screening is accurate enough, or B, can screen for everything that could happen. So to me, I don't think it's worth that risk. I don't think that screening is enough, because I don't think our screening technology is that good. I think that in a theoretical future, if our screening technology was that good, you could eliminate this problem. I don't think we're there currently.
That's
and
fair
again,
enough.
this is me, biomedical engineer, coming in and being like, I don't think that technology is accurate enough to be 100% certain, or even close. So I would not rely on it.
Fair enough.
I think it's helpful for screening out a lot of things that are very scary, but I don't know if there might be things that it can't.
Like the giant cleft chin from the Haxberg family.
Sure. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. But I suspect that there are things it cannot catch or won't catch with 100% accuracy. So that would be why I'd say, no, just don't even take that risk. Not worth it. Wow. Okay, cool.
All right, so what was that Myers-Briggs thing from last week?
Okay, are you familiar with the Briggs-Myers personality test, right?
Yeah.
The 4-letter thing,
Yeah.
right? For those who are unfamiliar, your personality is assigned 4 letters. This is, it's psychological science that's not 100% accurate. This is think of this as a slightly more informed horoscope, if you will. But it's like the first letter is extroverted, is introverted, right? You've got
The second letter could be an N.
is N or T. This is intuitive versus N or S, intuitive versus sensing. Then it's thinking versus feeling, T or F, and the last one is P or J, perceiving versus judging. I have a guess that I'm going to make. Your last letter is J.
When I was in school to become a psychologist, which, let me remind everybody, I dropped out of that because I can't be trusted.
Ah, I see.
I remember for a fact that my first letter was I, and then my last letter was a J.
Okay.
The middle two would occasionally flip every time I took the test.
Right, because you can be close to the middle. I am close to the middle on E versus I. I'm what's called an ambivert, right? I'm not an extrovert, I'm not an introvert. I have both tendencies depending on mood, energy, life circumstances, a bunch of other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I can be very extroverted, and sometimes I can be very introverted. It just depends. So I get flopping between E and I, right? One of the ones I'm most solid on, though, is the last one. I am a P, perceiving. You are a J, which is judging.
Yeah, I am a judgmental bitch. We've
Well, okay, so
established
that's
that.
not what J means, though. Judging doesn't mean that you are judgmental. The difference between P and J, which I think is important because I think this illuminates some of the differences in how we talk and think about things. Judging, what it means is you try to create structured responses to stimuli.
Mm-hmm.
It means that you make rules for things where you're like, if this happened, this is what I do. The reason you do that is because you don't want to have to think every time something happens, right? You want to be like,
So
I
you
know what to
set
do
up a
here.
path so
Yeah.
you can just follow it in the
And
future.
you will occasionally change your rules when you're given enough data to be like, I think this rule is bad now, I want to change it.
Mhm.
But you're very slow to change your rules, and your rules are established and they're what you lean on when you make decisions. Perceiving people are the ones who take every single thing as a case-by-case basis, right? They tend to be moral relativists.
Mhm.
They tend to be people who are like, okay, I have a problem. I don't care how I've solved this problem in the past. I need to look at this as a brand new problem. And I need to figure out all of the information. Perceiving people tend to be very slow to make decisions because they tend to want to absorb as much information as possible
That
to make
makes
the
sense.
best possible decision, which tends to make them slower to decide. J people tend to be much faster deciders because they're like, I have a rule for this, I will apply the rule. And if they're given enough information, they might be like, oh, this doesn't fit my rule. Either I need a new rule or I have to change my rule, right? But so I think a lot of the differences come is that you see a situation like, Jay, like, I know exactly what I want to do and I have a rule for this, and this is what it is.
You know, it's
And
funny.
for me, I'm like, well, that rule is great and probably helps you in 70 to 90% of cases. But what about the ones where it doesn't? What about the ones where that rule actually leads you to a decision you dislike? And so I have this thing where I'm like, I have to constantly be like, what if, possibilities.
All the possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
So I think the P versus J is a huge part of where we come to different conclusions about things, or have, I don't want to say disagreements, but like we don't see eye to eye on those things.
Yeah, I mean, just because you don't see eye to eye doesn't mean you're necessarily disagreeing.
Right. That's how I feel. I'm like, I don't think that sometimes I think we don't argue, obviously. I think we do disagree about certain things, and I think that makes sense.
We passionately debate each other.
Yeah, I think so. And sometimes we just come at it from different perspectives, where we're also acknowledging like there's not really a right answer. We would react differently to the situation.
What is the less wrong answer is what it usually is in life.
Sure. Yeah.
That's
or
how
just
I think
it's
of it.
what answer makes me feel better, honestly. It's not about right or wrong. It's what makes people feel good usually.
And I hope this brother and sister are feeling very good together. I'm rooting for them.
Wow, you had to say it that way, huh?
I ship it. I ship it.
Oh my god. I have no problem. I ship them too. I hope that they resolve this and come out of it okay. But at the same time, there was unnecessary information in that post. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, I would also like to point out, which might derail everything, that handle is very suspicious because of the content matter of the post. And so I don't want to say it, but I low-key almost don't trust the author.
Oh, are we having a tinfoil hat moment where this is like
tinfoil hat
the
moment.
people who believe in this genetic attraction theory want to put more data out in the world, so they're like creating stories that fit it?
Well, okay, think about it. Usually it's like anonymous and a string of numbers, or it is something like throwaway count, string of numbers, or string of numbers, throwaway count. When it's somebody who like is making something to just post to get it off of them and out into the world. This person chose a very sensual, almost Pornhub, OnlyFans-esque name.
Okay.
And only made this post.
Two possible counterpoints, though. One, we don't know when the account was created. If it was created a long time ago, then I would say that this is just a lurker who finally posted for the first time. Two, their name doesn't make sense given what they're doing, because their whole thing, what was it, like, let's sin together, right? Something like that. But incest isn't a sin in the Bible. It literally happens over and over again in the Bible. There's a lot of incest in it. So I don't know that incest is technically a sin, biblically speaking. So I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely not the religious lore person here, because I was raised without that. But my understanding is there's a lot of incest in the Bible. So I can't imagine how it would be a sin, although I think it would be silly of me to say the Bible doesn't contradict itself.
All right, so you are more of a Reddit person than I am, so I'm going to try to view their profile and have you click the button.
Okay. When was this post made?
The post was made 3 months ago.
And their account is 3 months old.
Okay.
So, yeah, they made the account to post this. Now, if I were going to post something like this, I would make a new account, too.
Yes.
All I think it demonstrates is that I have poor biblical knowledge.
They have also reposted the exact same stories on 4 different Reddits. On r/relationship advice, r/relationships, and off my chest, and it's identical on all of them. They were all posted on the same exact day.
Here's my conspiracy theory testing then. You would need to go into each of these posts and see if the same people responded talking about that theory. If the same people went in spouting about that theory in all of them, yes, this was a bait post to draw out the information about this pseudoscience theory.
Oh, okay. Also, it looks like the first time it was posted, it only got 1 comment. The second time it was posted, it got 150. The third time, it was 200. And the last time is the one that got taken. Or the one that, like, went viral.
Mm-hmm.
So they kept posting until it went viral.
Were they posted on different days?
All it says is 3 months apart in the order that they were posted in.
Interesting. Yeah, okay. So we could dig into this. We could go into a whole, like, sleuthing adventure, but I don't think that's going to matter that much.
No, but I would also like to point out that all of their comics look copy and pasted.
All the comments do?
Yeah, whenever they respond.
Then I suspect you might be right. I'm having a tinfoil hat moment of, like, this was a pseudoscience conspiracy theory propaganda.
How many times have I went on a rabbit hole over this one post just at the end to find out that
It may not be real.
God.
Hey, we don't know it's not real. We'll assume it is.
There has gone well over an hour of my life. And I hope that however many minutes you guys have lost to this post make up for it. Goodbye, guys.
Goodbye.
We're going to remind you basically every week until it happens what our actual plans are for the end of the year.
Yes. So we are going to be skipping 1 week, the last week of November, that we will not be releasing an episode. And that's so that we can have November's votes before we go into December. So in December, we're going to be talking about the year in review. We're going to be going over all of the winners of the year, and we're going to decide which are the ultimate cringiest, I believe.
December is going to be our extravaganza. Be prepared. So
Yes.
that last week we won't have an episode, but you will have to vote. So don't forget to vote
Yes.
for November's episodes.
Yeah, because we'll need those votes as soon as possible so we can record them or get them into our recordings for December.
Yeah, so we say we're taking a week off, but no.
All right, well, I'm Ryan, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Build Right Roll, where I post about my professional Dungeon Master experiences. You can check out the links in the description if you're interested in hiring a professional DM or looking to level up your own DM skills.
And you can find me, V, at I'm Cringe Queen at Instagram and Twitter, or check me out on YouTube as the Queen of Cringe and be embarrassed with me.
All right, well, thanks for listening and cringing along with us.
And we'll catch you next time with more awesome cringe content.
I'm hypocritical, but at least I know we could be beautiful or maybe terrible. Only one way to know. Only one way to know.
Sarah and Scooter Podcast is a conversation between
You guessed it.
Sarah,
And Scooter. We are not experts on any of these topics.
just hoping to spark something like an idea, conversation, or even a revelation.
Subjects will vary depending on our friends, family, and community.
Sometimes it will be what we want to talk about.
New episodes drop every week on all of your favorite podcast formats.
So pull up a chair and
And let's talk about stuff.